All right, so lie on your backs and begin feeling your connection with the ground, with your mat, and with your body. Are you more in your mind than in your body? And how is it that you bring your attention into your physical sensations? Feeling the back of your head, your hair, feeling the pressure behind the right and left shoulder blades, feeling the backs of the ribs in the floor, on the floor, and the sensations as you breathe in and out. Does that change the pressure on the back of the ribs? Is there even the slightest difference between the right side and the left side with the inhalation and exhalation? Feel how your lower back curves away from the floor. And the contact again in your sacrum, the rest of your pelvis and buttocks. And as you're lying there, do you know where your hip joint is? Can you imagine where your hip joint is inside of yourself? And then see if you can place your hands just above your hip joint, on the front of you, above your hip joint. Excellent. So lots of close approximations. Pretty good. Let's go. Yeah, right in there. Yeah. I'm going to repeat for the tape. If you bend your leg up, that hip joint is deep in that crease. And the distance between the right and left hip joints is about the same distance as your TMJ, your jaw joint. So bring your hands up and feel your TMJ on your face. Feel how narrow that is. Bring your right and left hands and feel them. And then just slide your hands straight down to that crease where your leg meets your pelvis. And the hip joints are actually quite a bit farther in than most of us realize. We use all this inaccurate language, hands on the hips. Well, that's your pelvis. That's not your hips. We talk about fat hips, some of us. And that's this outside part of our thighs. That's not our hip joint. So just bend your knee up and down a couple times, right and left, and just sort of feel and have a sense from the inside out of that ball and socket joint. And when you've done that a time or two, just rest with your legs long. If keeping your legs long is uncomfortable for your back, then keep them bent up. But if you're able to, leave them long and just imagine the feeling of your leg bone coming up and bending into your pelvis, into that ball and socket joint. And feel the length of your right leg and your left leg. Notice any differences from right to left, the length, maybe the weight, the distance apart from each other, the amount that your leg is rotated in or out compared to the other leg. Just notice those things. And then sense from the bottom of your left heel to the tip of your left shoulder. Sense the whole length of your left side. Just have a sense of the shoulder, down along the chest and ribs, the pelvis, and the length of the leg. And then shift your attention to the right side, from the right heel all the way up your leg, pelvis, ribs, and trunk, to the tip of the right shoulder. And if you were to take that length of the right side and the left side, are they exactly the same? Is one a little longer or a little shorter? Does that lengthening or shortening happen in your legs? Does it feel like it happens in your shoulders, that one is placed a little higher or lower? Do you have any sensation in your ribs? And then bring your attention down to your left foot and leg, and just begin rolling your leg out to the side and back to the middle. So you're really rolling the whole leg out, opening up in the hip. And as you roll it out, can you feel that hip joint rolling in the socket? And rolling it out as though you're beginning to almost reach without efforting, but reaching the outside of the left foot towards the floor. And what has to happen in the leg, in the knee, for the outside edge of the left foot to be able to touch the floor? Can you feel that first place where the left knee wants to bend and soften? And just let your knees soften. Maybe it'll bend up a little bit. You might even feel that your heel wants to slide up on the floor a little bit in order for the outside edge of the foot to touch. And when you've touched it a few times, just kind of rest. And from that little bit of movement with the left leg, can you feel any new differences in how you sense your left leg and your right leg as you lie here? What's already beginning to change in the nervous system as we learn to speak to the brain in this particular way, speaking through the muscles, through movement, suggesting to the brain that there may be another way, other neural pathways to hold this body together more effortlessly, more gracefully, less painfully. And again, return to the movement of rolling your leg out and really feel the texture. Feel when the outside edge of your foot meets the floor or your mat or your bed. Feel how the knee begins to bend and the heel slides up. And next time you roll your foot out, let the knee bend a little farther. And then lengthen the leg back down and roll it back to neutral. And each time you go out, opening the leg out to the side, slide the foot up a little farther and a little farther. And notice what's happening in your pelvis. Does your pelvis, the weight through your pelvis, shift to the left slightly? Can you feel that? And what else is happening? What's giving you the stability in your body to create the mobility in your left leg? Where does that come from? Does it come from your trunk or your shoulders? Your breath? Are you holding your breath for stability? Your jaw? Is there something you're doing in the right leg that supports the movement in the left leg? Or maybe it interferes with the movement. How is your whole body either tuning into the support of this movement or following old patterns which actually may be creating resistance to this movement? And when you get to a point where you've slid your foot up and up and up, about as far as it goes comfortably towards your buttocks and pelvis, then begin to just turn at the hip and bring your knee up towards the ceiling so that you come flat onto your foot again. You're standing through the foot. And just feel that placement for a minute. What's it like to rest with the knee bent and the foot flat? And then what's it like again to tilt the knee out to the side, find the outside edge of your foot, and slide your foot all the way down, lengthening the leg. And do this several times, feeling the influence again on the whole body, the hips, the pelvis, the right side of the body as the left leg is gliding, sliding up and down. What happens in your lower back? Is there any point where you want to hold your breath? Or have you created a pattern where you breathe in during a certain part of the movement and you breathe out? And next time your leg is long, just leave it there. Just rest. Sensing now the left shoulder and the right shoulder and how they rest on the floor. Is there anything about moving with the focus on your left leg that has influenced the shoulders or the ribs? Lower back and pelvis. And of course the legs, how do they feel? The right leg and the left leg. And then again, bend your left leg up in the manner that we have been learning. And stand it there. And place your left hand palm down on the floor. And just begin to slide your hand towards your heel. No effort, no goal to touch it, but what does it take to just slide your hand downward? What happens in your shoulders? Slide and relax. As you begin to slide and the hand stops because there's resistance, where is the effort then? If you were to keep sliding your hand further down, what would you be pressing through? Is it something in your shoulder, your neck and head? What if you were to let your head just roll a little, maybe tilt a little to the left as you slide your head down? Does that assist the movement or interfere with the movement? And then maybe try it a few times, turning your head to the right and tilting your head to the right. Does that assist the movement or interfere with the movement? And then just let your head do whatever feels most natural. And what if you were to slide your hand down and just press a little bit through the left foot? Does that help, hinder, or no change? Maybe you feel nothing. How might pressing through the left foot somehow be connected to the reaching of the left arm? When you press through the left foot, what happens to the left side of your pelvis? Does it lift a little? Does it roll a little? And as you're playing with these movements, notice what else is happening in your ribs. The whole left side, does it shorten a little? Lengthen a little? Which side is shortening and which side potentially is lengthening? Can you feel that in your ribs? As some of you know, I get to go to Germany next week and watch the accordions that I am so often referring to when I talk about your ribs. One side closes and the other side opens. Can you feel that internal music of your own ribs? And then just pause again for a moment. You can let your leg down or keep it up, whichever is most comfortable. And notice this time as you pause, are you feeling any uncomfortable sensations? Are you pushing past limits? Are you performing? Are you staying with the own limits within yourself of gentle and compassionate listening? Learning to honor what feels good, not push into what feels bad because you think that's what the teacher wants of you. We are no longer in second grade. However, our minds sometimes forget that. And then again, bend your left knee up in the same manner, rolling it out to the side, sliding on your outside edge of your foot and bringing it up. And take your left hand and wrap it over the top of your head so that the palm of your left hand is holding on to the right side of your head. So your elbow is sort of somewhere near-ish your left ear, and the palm of your hand is somewhere near your right ear. Beautiful. And just very gently, see if you can use your left arm and shoulder to just slide your head down to the left a little bit and back to the middle. There's a little resistance dragging your head on the floor, but it's not a turning. You're not rotating your head to the left. You're keeping your face up towards the ceiling. And you're just sliding your head down to the left. And see what you can feel in your own self-use through your shoulder and even into the upper ribs on the left. Can you feel how the shoulder can come down and those ribs can come together on the left, again like an accordion? And you might even allow the ribs on the right to open and expand, supporting that movement even more. And is there any point in this movement where your left foot just naturally begins to press into the floor to support the movement? Can you allow the movement to be even easier by accurately using your left foot, your pelvis, to support the sliding of your head down to the left? And breathing. And having fun. This is just intelligent wiggling on the floor. When we were children, we didn't need anybody guiding us through intelligent wiggling because we had no inhibitions to exploration. And unfortunately, our well-meaning caregivers managed to plant all kinds of inhibitions to wiggling. It's job security, of course, for me. And rest your arm, rest your leg. Really get a sense of your whole left side now. If you sense, again, from the tip of your left shoulder to the bottom of your left heel, if you were to draw that line and really feel it, and then compare that line to the tip of your right shoulder, all the way to the bottom of your right heel. Are there more differences now? Is it easier for the mind to feel differences? Seems like so often we work and work and work to get symmetrical, to get balanced, to have this idea of where we're supposed to be in our bodies, and yet without the differences, without the subtle asymmetries and the subtle imbalances, there would be nothing for our mind to pay attention to learn from. So they serve a very useful purpose, and they are not in error unless they become exaggerated anomalies. And then just bring your attention back to your left leg, and slowly again, don't do the full motion the first time, but explore your way back up to bending the left leg up. Start with the rolling. Is just rolling your leg to the side any different now than it was at the beginning of the lesson? Is letting the outside edge of your left foot, is the experience of that somehow changing? Is the quality of your hip rolling in the socket more perceptible maybe? Is it possible to feel more of yourself participating in the support of this movement? What happens along your whole left side, your ribs, your shoulder, your head, as you gently roll your left leg out to the side and begin to bend your knee? And eventually your knee comes up to bending and your foot comes flat. And with each movement, what is your right side doing? It's not just laying there passively, it's engaged in its own way of supporting this movement. How is it engaged? And when you've done the full movement a few times again, just let your leg rest. Once again, feeling the left side and the right side. The qualities of the side that's been providing stability. The qualities of the side that's been engaging in mobility. And then bring your attention to your right leg and use your imagination. If you're able, don't actually move the right leg, but just begin to imagine what it's going to feel like when you begin to roll it out to the side. How well can you develop kinesthetic imagination? What will it feel like to roll the right leg out to the side? At what point will you feel the knee being invited to bend a little bit so the outside edge of the right foot can touch the floor? How do you experience the ball of the hip joint rolling in the socket as you slide the outside edge of your foot up and up, bending your knee until your knee comes up and your foot comes to standing? And what does it feel like again to drop the knee out to the side and slide the outside edge of the foot down? In your imagination, can you feel other parts of your body? Can you imagine how the left side supports the right side? Can you imagine what happens in the ribs and the shoulders and the head? And whenever you're ready, bring yourself into the experience of the movement at whatever pace feels good for you. You might just start very slow and just explore your way up. How is the movement different than your imagination? What can the genuine felt sense teach you? What can imagining the felt sense teach you? Imagination being a very powerful tool. And if you haven't yet already, just feel the full movement, sliding the outside edge of the left foot up, bending the knee, standing through the right foot, and just staying there for a moment with the knee bent. And in this position, wrap your right arm over the top of your head in the same configuration we did on the left side. So your elbow is somewhere near your right ear, and the palm of your right hand is somewhere near your left ear. And just begin sliding the back of your head down and to the right so that your face stays facing the ceiling. You're not rotating to the right, you're sliding. So you're sliding your shoulder down. You're feeling your ribs come together on the right side. Some of you may naturally feel how the right foot and pelvis want to support this movement. And if that feels natural to you, just press a little bit through the right foot. Let the right side of the pelvis lift a little bit. Feel the left side opening out to the side as you bring the right side together. So one side is sort of closing, coming together. The other side is opening and expanding. Next time you have your head down to the right side as far as is easy and comfortable, just leave it there for a moment and take a few breaths, really breathing into those left ribs, breathing your left side open. And then come back to neutral. Rest your arm, rest your leg. And just feel the sensations of the right side resting now next to the left side. Suppose the sensations would feel really weird if the right side was not resting next to the left side. And imagine for a moment the last time you played with a baby, 2 years or younger, especially if you got to help change diapers. And think about that baby's hips. Think about that baby's legs. When have you ever seen a baby bring their knee to their chest directly? It just doesn't happen. The hip is designed to roll out to the side. It is not designed to bring our knees together and sit like proper ladies and men. That's why they won't let me teach in the Catholic Church. Just kidding. I don't know who's going to listen to the CD, but I was pretty sure none of you were Catholic in here. So come back to rolling your right leg out to the side, feeling the outside edge of your right foot, bending your knee up and keeping it there, and letting your right palm rest on the floor and gently directing it towards your right foot, just sliding it down and up. In fact, have your right knee up and bring your left knee up with it. In the same way, so that you're standing through your feet and your knees are up towards the ceiling. Beautiful. Both hands palm down on the floor. And just gently reach your right hand towards your right foot. Let your head and neck follow. And then come back to middle and reach your left hand towards your left foot. Go through that whole motion, feeling what happens in your head, in your ribs. How do your feet and hips want to support this? At what point do you want to press through one of your feet? And maybe just lift your pelvis slightly. Now what if you were to reach towards your right foot but press through your left foot? Gently. What does that do? Is that better? For some of you it might be. It's a different organization and it can be a useful one. And then switch so that you're pressing through the same foot on the side that you're reaching towards. Remember, there's no right or wrong in a Feldenkrais lesson. In general, we're directing you towards an idea of optimal movement integration. Yet there are always variances. Some of the movements I suggest are going to feel wrong to your system. And that does not make you wrong. It makes you extremely, exquisitely unique. And that is not a bad thing. And then just rest in the middle again. Let's see, half of you have your knees up and half of you have your knees down. So why doesn't everybody bring both their knees up? So you're standing through your feet and your knees are bent. And just take your right leg, let your knee drop out to the side, find the outside of your heel and slide it down. And then slide it back up. And just alternate right leg and left leg in this way. Really be with the experience of the right leg all the way until you come back up to bending. So don't guess how you're going to start moving your left leg until you're completely done with the experience of movement on your right leg. And as you begin to move your left leg, feel the side that's moving and notice what the other side is doing to provide the stability for the mobility. And is it different? Is one side slightly different or unique from the other side as you slide your leg down and up? As you bend one leg up, how do you use the other foot to support that movement? And then what if we played around a little bit so that when you lengthened one leg down, you keep it there and lengthen the other leg down. And then bend one leg up and then the other leg up. There you go. What if you were to do this quickly, lightly, playfully, just down and up, down and up, down and up. And make it one smooth motion. A few of you sort of make it two motions to get your knee all the way pointed up towards the ceiling. So as you bend out to the side, can you just keep it going all the way up to flat foot and knee up to the ceiling? So it's not one motion bending out to the side and a second motion bringing it up to the ceiling, but it's one smooth up and one smooth down. Beautiful. Nice. And some of you are playing with another idea, which is as one leg goes out to the side, what if the other knee falls inward? And they both slide down with one knee falling towards the other leg, and then they both roll to the right. So one's out to the right side and one's inward to the right side, bending them up. Really listen to your back, your pelvis, your abdomen, so you're not straining here. Stand on here. And there's one more that I know of that I haven't seen yet, which is just both down together and both up. And this is where, this last motion is where the lesson gets its name, frog legs. Opening both knees out to the side and sliding them down. Rolling both legs out and open and sliding them up. It's like a frog swimming in a lake. And next time your legs are down long, just take a rest. Feel your contact with the floor. And see if you can remember what your contact felt like at the beginning of the lesson. And what's different now. And why doing these slow, simple movements has an effect. Why is that? How does the brain learn? Now, once or twice, I want you to bend each of your legs up the old-fashioned way, where we just bend them straight up, and just feel that in your system. Just bend them straight up without rolling them out to the side. Feel what you have to do in your abdomen and your back, with your breath and your neck. Just feel that. And then when you've done it once or twice, don't overdo it, go back to the new way. Go back to the new way, opening and sliding. No wonder those little 1- and 2-year-olds are just giggling and playing and wiggling. It's so fun to have freedom in the hips and the pelvis. Even the ribs and the chest are softer now from what I see. And just rest again. Feel yourself, sense the length of your right side from the tip of your right shoulder to the bottom of the right heel. Sense the length on the right side. And then the left side, from the tip of the left shoulder to the heel, the bottom of the left heel. How do you sense your thigh bone resting in your pelvis now? That sense of the hip joint, that ball and socket joint. And stay with the experience of how that ball and socket joint moves as you roll to your side and come up to sitting, as you come up to standing, and as you experience your felt sensations in standing and walking. And just spend some time in that feeling space